Hey everybody, I'm Jason and welcome back to my channel. What we've got today is a Ryobi 48 volt electric riding lawnmower. I didn't even know these things existed. So it is quite the unit, fairly heavy. The problem is it was put away, and when it was brought out this spring, the owner found a mouse nest in it, and it's just not working at the moment. Now, living in the country, I have either fortunately or unfortunately accumulated a lot of experience in fixing mouse damage. The way I see this is either it's one or two wires that have just been chewed through, in which case it's probably just a quick fix, or it's something far more serious, electronic, or, worse. I'm thinking about maybe some wires coming loose when he turned it on, something shorted out, and then, that's going to be a problem. I'm going to get to it. Looks like I've got a lot of body plastic to remove in order to get to everything. I do have a copy of the parts manual that does include a wiring diagram, and it doesn't look like it's too terribly complicated. I think the issue is going to be more one of access, to be honest with you. So hopefully this thing comes apart fairly easily and everything's exposed and ready and easy to get to. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So the owner told me that he discovered the mouse nest when he brought the seat up and just opened up this little cover which gets to the battery, and apparently this was just full of mouse house, as they call it. So this is where I'm going to have to start. This is my first experience with any kind of an electrical vehicle, but I'm thinking that it's actually going to make it more simple, not more complicated. So when you do a gas engine, the first thing you do when you're working on it is you disconnect the spark plug, so that it can't start. And I think similar kind of mentality is here. We want to disconnect these batteries because I don't know if there's 2 or 4 or what's exactly in there, but I'm willing to bet they pack a real wallop, and I really don't want to have anything to do with that. So let's just disconnect them straight away and not worry about that from here on in. Oh yeah. This is the charging port. Just gotta disconnect it. Hopefully it makes logical sense as to how it all goes back together. Probably does. It looks like this is no different than, say, if I'm working on one of the Honda motorcycles. There's only really one way for these plugs to go back together. So yeah, there's been a lot of mice in here. There's no doubt about that. But I'm still optimistic because really, I mean, the high voltage stuff or the high current stuff, they're not going to be able to get through that. They're not going to hurt it. So I'm thinking all of the issues are probably in the control wiring, and it looks like from maybe the panel to the electronic brain switching mechanism, however you want to call it. But we'll check everything out, make sure it's okay. All right, so the way forward is to just spend a little bit of time with the shop vac. And maybe an air hose. Here's the issues, or at least some of the issues. These wires are chewed right off, and if you look at that one right there, that whole connector's, that's going to take some rebuilding. That's going to take a bit of time, and a lot of these wires they're not chewed through, but they're chewed, so they still have to be dealt with. You know, and this is just the control panel side, right? This has nothing to do with the inside where these wires would run to connect into. There's got to be some kind of logic controller for this whole thing that would switch these signals into signals for the high power or the high amperage. I haven't gotten to that far yet. I'm glad I took all the plastic off, because even if there's no damage in here, you still have to get this mouse nest out, because there's a lot of components in here that probably run very hot and you need airflow. So, you know, I think we're lucky. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of fun to fix this, but it's doable. It's going to take a little bit of patience and time, and that's okay with me. I've got it. Now that I've got all that mouse stuff out of the way, I can bring the mower into my little work area here, so I can, number one, enjoy a little bit of air conditioning, and number two, have a little bit better access to my tools, and I'm going to need a soldering gun and all that kind of thing. So what I have decided to do is I'm just going to take the control panel, and it seems to tip back kind of out of the way very nicely. And then where it was, I've got these little holes. I'm gonna just attach a little piece of, I think, plywood, just as a little work surface. I can't really take the whole wiring harness out. I mean, I could, but it looks like it's a really involved process, so why bother? So I'm gonna have to work on it in place. All right, I think I'm set up to go. I've got my little station here where I can do my soldering. I got all my tools set out. Pretty sure I've got everything. I got my heat shrink, I got my solder. I have some different colored wires. If I have to replace some wires, I can do my best at getting the right color in there. Got my soldering gun, and I've got my heat gun right there to put the heat shrink on. So I think I'm good to go. So my plan of attack is really quite simple. I'm going to start from this side and work over. This is the worst part. This stuff here is actually pretty much untouched. It's just in here that the problems are. So I will work on one button or switch at a time, get it fixed, and then move on to the next. Now, I'm not going to show you each and every solder and what I'm doing, but I'll show you maybe, you know, one or two just to see what I'm up to. But this isn't a soldering video, it's a repair video, you know, and I think you can see the difference there. One thing I am going to do to make life easier, they've done a pretty good job of this. Each of the buttons has its own little bundle going through, and they're even labeled, which is nice. But they have this cable tie down here, which keeps everything maybe just a little bit tighter than I need to work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna snip it off carefully, and that will give me room, see, to pull these out to work on without having to move the whole assembly over. So let's talk about what these wires do, okay? So the way a control panel like this works is basically logic, 1 or 0. The power for the actual item that it's controlling doesn't run through these little tiny wires. So the two wires that I'm fixing right now control the PTO, which is the blades down at the bottom. It's the big motor that spins the blades. Obviously, that is a high current motor, and you know, obviously it's not running through these little 24 gauge wires. So these are strictly for logic. So they don't really need to be all that heavy. They just need to be well connected so that a trace voltage, probably it could be as low as 5, could be as high as 24 volts, is running through them, just delivering a on off to which goes to a logic processor, a kind of a brain, and that will control the high voltage stuff, which will control the drive, which will control the mower blades, all of that kind of stuff. The most current that would be coming through here would be for the little LEDs that light up the little buttons to tell you when something's engaged. Here's a good example of basically the two types of repairs I'm going to have to make. So this blue wire, okay, has been chewed but not all the way through, but it might as well be. You know, that's not good. I can't have that. I can't trust that those wires haven't been compromised. And then it looks to me like this black wire has had probably about a centimeter chewed out. So what I'll probably do is, it's better to be too long than too short. I'll probably put in like an inch and a half in here. And same with this, I'll cut that, solder it, maybe put an inch more wire in it. It's not gonna hurt anything. And then of course I'll heat shrink it all and then move to the next one. So like I said, I'm not gonna show you all of these, but that's the idea here. And this is how it turns out. Like I said, I spliced in about an inch of wire, and then I soldered each end, and I put some heat shrink on it so that that protects it and insulates it. It's, you know, a nice solid fit. I've pulled them, I've checked them. You know, take your time, get a good solder on that, get a good joint, and these are ready to hook back up. Okay, so this next switch, which I believe is the reverse, so you have to engage it so that you can cut in reverse. This switch, believe it or not, is completely unharmed. And yet, the next switch, this one, which is the forward reverse selector, needs a little work. It's got 1, 2, 3 wires that need to be fixed on it. Isn't that something?
Okay, I've left the best to last. These wires have been damaged right at the edge of the connector, meaning that I just don't have very much room to solder another wire to them. What I've got to do is release the internal connectors from the plastic plug. So there's a little barb on the inside on the actual connector that can usually be released with a small screwdriver, and once it's out, then I'll have the room to do my soldering. It's a little bit tricky, but with a little bit of patience, I should be able to get them all out and get this thing fixed.
See it? You see that little barb right there? Just gotta push that back. Gonna give it a little turn. Oh, look at that. Turn that in and around until it's loose. I can feel it. Now what I have to do before I can reinsert these things is just pull that little catch tab back out
when I stuck the screwdriver in it, it tends to push them in, right? There we go. Okay. This one's pushed in. Oh, it's all right. Bend her back into shape. Brown goes on the bottom then. So push it in. These two wires here that I just put in are actually the power for the LED. So there's an indicator on the switch that says, you know, it's on, and that's what that is. Okay. Yep. And then the white goes on the other side. 3. Of course, the last one's. Oh, there it goes. Yep, that's it. On, and I'm probably going to give this thing just a quick clean up inside before I put all the plastic back on. Then I'll put the plastic back on and we'll give her a test. Just before everything gets enclosed, I want to double check that all the mouse house is gone. Anything you see with fins on it has those fins to dissipate heat, so it's important to keep good airflow. You also don't want dry grass or twigs left over that can be in contact with potentially very hot surfaces. It really wouldn't take very much for them to catch on fire. Everything here looks good, so I'll bolt it all back up and we'll take her back outside. All right, well, just before I close this in, I'm gonna just give you another view. All the wires have been repaired. No bare copper anywhere. Looking just fine. Got my heat shrink, everything's soldered. And I think it's gonna be just fine. So I'm gonna seal it up and give her a test. So this thing came to be broken, so I have no idea how it really works, but I think I got it figured out, or take a good guess. So we're gonna flip it on. Battery not quite full, that's not a surprise because probably hasn't been charged for a while. All right, let's keep putting her through the tests here. Forward. We'll just give it a little jog here. Yep. Reverse. Yep, that's awesome. All right, now for the real test. Neutral. I think I just pull this up and the blade should go. Nothing. Oh, hey, hey! I think it works. Lights. Yep, lights are on. LED comes on. Cruise, don't know anything about cruise. Reverse mode, well, the LED comes on. Okay, so you put it in reverse and the mower stops. So let's try reverse mode option.
hey, we're doing all right. Let's cut some grass. So I don't expect to do all this, but I've got a huge lawn. So we'll see how it does.
The last function to test was the cruise control, which not only worked, but proved to be a really handy feature with a lawn this large. The mower was able to cut all the grass you see, plus a little bit more, running for just over an hour, and it had battery power to spare. I have to be honest, when this thing first arrived, I kind of thought it was a bit of a joke, but I gotta tell you, it's actually a pretty capable mower. Alright, that's all I've got for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.